welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you. We had a great show. I got a great guest today. Tristen Stawicki is joining me here today. Yeah, look, Tristen is a guide for women. That's who she is. Women who are at a crossroads. And believe it or not, many of us are. We really are. And you may look at me and say, like you, again, Pat, yeah, why? And you're going to hear about why. But today's episode is pressure, fame, and values. I'm not laughing at you, Tristen. When reality TV teaches us about legacy, no kidding, because you're going to hear what happens when it does, but why so many of us relate to it. I mean, look, anytime I've been in a circle and I mention reality TV or something like that, we get this tongue-in-cheek like reaction, and then you find out, oh, I watched every episode of The Real Housewives from Connecticut. Tristen, thank you for taking this on, right? Thank you for what you do, because I do not think, and I'm watching this through the lens of another person who I feel for deeply, Caitlin Clark. But I want to say to you, when we say pressure, fame, and values, we usually say pressure and fame, but we rarely say pressure, fame, and values. Tell us a little bit about why this topic came to you and what prompted you to say, I got to say something here.
Yeah. Well,
thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. First and foremost, I'm a lover of garbage. I'm a lover of garbage TV, right? And even that moniker, right? It's just like, but reality TV has taught me so much about myself. It's taught me about my friendships, my relationships. And often it's been a mirror to what I value and how I would react in a situation. And there's that little bit through a lens of judgment of like, oh, I can't believe they did that. And then oftentimes, especially as you go through circumstances, you go like, oh, I can't believe they did that, but I'm glad I'm at a place where I would have made a different choice. And I think reality TV is so beautiful in that it helps really show the journey of a person. So in a show like Love Island, when they're together 6 or 8 weeks, depending on if it's US or UK, a person can change a lot in 6 weeks. My clients go through, 3 months for their transformation, and they are completely different at the end of it. And so it's beautiful to be like, wow, in this pressure cooker, right? When they are deprived of sleep oftentimes, you know what I mean? They're maybe like not feeling their best. They're without their family. Like, who are they? And their values are really what showcase and really guides their decisions.
But we're talking about this. I think the reference that we're also talking about one reference is Love Island. There's a bunch of them, right?
Right.
I often watch some of the reality cooking shows, right? And you see some really good chefs turn into like crazy talent, right? But part of this is a macrocosm of the micro that each of us goes through every day, but rarely do we even recognize it.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, especially with when you're showing a profession and are at the height of your profession, right? To even go on these shows. And then you go like, oh, wow. And that's how I act to get that craft. And it's, and there's a level of like, oh, like, can I make this easier on myself, on my sous chef, on those that are helping me, that I hope they reflect on, because it's oftentimes quite ugly, and how they're acting out.
Yeah, let's go with this question because I love this. This is a question we have to really probe today. I love this. I'm not saying I have the answer. If you were given a massive platform today, what parts of your character would be magnified?
Yeah. And I think oftentimes, especially when someone's on a reality TV show or, they do really well or something about them goes viral, right? Even they posted a video, it goes viral. what about their situation? Like, what do we see? And what does the audience see? That the person, it almost feels like a characterization that they have to see whether or not it fits them. And so when I think about myself, right, as I've been building my business, as I hope to get to 7 and 8 figures, it's a very different experience in the platform that I currently have, right? And a high level of visibility. And I go, am I acting with kindness in every interaction? Because as we've seen with celebrity culture, it just takes one interaction and that interaction to go viral where you start to say, like, oh, should I support that person's art? Is that person and I aligned in how we think? And so for those that have an immaturity, which oftentimes in our 20s and 30s we have, right? Just because of the life you're working through and the situations you find yourself in. When you have a situation of immaturity, do you have are you leaning on your curiosity and
Yeah,
genuine nature? Are you being authentic? And oftentimes people are putting on a mask or they're figuring out their
yeah.
identity. That's really hard to do in a public platform.
Yeah. And you know what I love about this? I really want to get to this part here about, how accepting a brand deal may clash with your values. And here's why I want to talk about it. I don't have time to share it today, but I turned down a massive sponsorship deal from a Japanese company, and it was massive. And it was on a supplement I really loved. It was great. And we were at the end of the deal and we're all sitting around a table, right? And, I know a lot about Asian culture, given the sport I play. And I was coached, and we're sitting around the table, and the top dog, so to speak, says, I want you to hear from the scientist. And I thought, this is going to be great. Until the scientist said, oh, the really good news is we were able to terminate the subjects early because the product was so good. Now, that is a moment where every part of your being, it's the same for a brand deal or any deal that will clash with your value. There's a misalignment, right?
Right.
And we really got to do some soul searching here, don't you think? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, if there's something that goes against like what you believe and how you act in your everyday life, like not all money is good money. And you have to really sit with that because there's a cost when people accept brand deals, especially when they kind of slap their face on something or co-sign on something. And then if you're not aligned in how they do business and animal testing, whatever that is, there's no part of that that's going to work out in your favor. That's
No.
not resonant with your higher self. That's not resonant with your purpose. And so that money is very fleeting and probably is going to very quickly move away from you because it's not an energetic alignment. And so, really thinking about who you are and what's authentic to you and products you actually care about, and making sure you do your due diligence that that company across the board, is someone you're like, oh, I would trust, I would have them do business with my mom or someone I care
Yeah.
deeply about.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the good news is I was coached by my Asian friends on what if that scenario showed up? How do I back out of that? And I
Mhm.
learned something about respect. And, with that particular group, I had to put my head down. I was crying.
Mhm.
And I thought, what am I going to say here? And I lifted my head up and I simply said, I respectfully have to decline because I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of what you've created. See, because that culture understands that. And there was no reason for me to put them down, disrespect them, especially on a product, regardless of my value system, that was going to really help a lot of people. But let's talk about what happens when we accept those deals. What happens to us? What about these people that were maybe on Love Island, some of these other shows? What happens if
Yeah.
they're in the middle of it and oopsie, something's going on here? Short term, long term, what happens?
For the short term, it probably feels okay for them, right? They're like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, but they start to lose parts of themselves. And they start to lose parts of themselves with more and more of these yeses that are not in alignment, where they go in the long-term impact, they look in the mirror and they go, who even am I? I don't identify with any of this life that I've built. I don't identify with, this event I'm now the face of. Or especially if a campaign goes incredibly viral, it could be multi-years that they've signed agreements. to work with a brand. And it's really not sustainable to what you're building. You can feel as an audience member, I can always feel when I go like, oh, they just got that money. They're a sellout. You can just tell when there's not when there's a mismatch between who someone is presenting themselves as and who they are co-signing on. That reputation loss, that loss of authority, it's really challenging to get back. And so once someone has said yes to something that's really not resonant with themselves, um, it can put them on a slippery slope to lose identity, as I mentioned, but also to really lose any sense of authority they had or credibility, more importantly, with an audience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and once that's gone, oh man, that's really their currency.
Okay, so you, your husband, me, and my best friends, we sit down and we do. Okay, we watch the shows,
Yeah.
right? And I can't remember which show I was watching where I thought that woman is not going to recover from what just happened there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was oh my God, what's the dating show? I don't remember it now. You know what I mean? Uh, but I just looked and I said, what just happened there?
Yeah.
I mean, this woman's got a life, she's got a career, and they just showed what most likely out of context.
Mm.
So let's talk about this. You love to follow the couples, I do too, and then predict where the relationships are and who they'll be and the whole thing. You guys love to do that, right?
We do. We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but there are some shows, and let's talk about it. In your case, you watched the Love Island thing, right?
Yeah.
They test your own value system even as a viewer, don't they?
Very much so. Yeah. No, that's a great thought because it really does. Because at times I go like, I love to watch reality TV for the humor, the kind of connection that I get. But oftentimes when it feels exploitative in any capacity, I go, oh, I don't like that. And so the producers and creators of these shows have such a strong responsibility to like toe the line a little bit where there's enough in the conversation that we can talk about it, right? And it's interesting to watch. Because let's be real, if it was everyone that was fully healed, it would be very boring, right? If it was everyone that was emotionally mature, not reality TV is made from that. But we want to see ourselves reflected, and we also want to see messiness. And in the messiness, we're able to really say, like, where do they fit in the world and how are they moving through it and what decisions are guiding them? Because your partner is one of the most important decisions you can make in this life if you choose to have one. And especially when your brand is a part of a partnership with something like Love Island, there have been many times when the women have been done successful and done really well, and the men have either had allegations of cheating immediately after the show or acting inappropriately,
Yeah.
and their brand is, tarnished because of it, and that's really, really challenging. But oftentimes, you can really see who actually is in love and who's in it for what's called the right reasons, right? And those that are kind of chasing being an influencer and wanting the
Yeah.
social currency.
Yeah. And by the way, let's just be realistic here for a minute because not all of the people that are on those shows are going to go out and go major. They got to go back to like maybe a real job,
Absolutely.
right? They got to go back and be like, oh, that didn't work out for me. Is anybody going to even ever love me? But you see, what we're talking about here, Tristen, is about not just about a show, but about the work you do to help people.
Yeah.
You see, let's just get down to that because there's a reason you and I are so drawn in by this. There's a reason that I just have finished a 20-page letter to Congress on Caitlin Clark and how wrong they are. They're investigating the wrong thing. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Am I willing to put my name out there for something I believe in? But even more importantly, we're working with people every day that get bumped up against cheating, job loss, jealousy, envy, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So why we call these reality shows, and maybe they're exaggerated, people go through stuff every day and you happen to work with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful reflection of women that are in any kind of like crossroads or transition, and it's really beautiful, especially to say like, wow, this person started here, as we often see in reality TV, but look what they've accomplished. They've built literal empires that have sold for many millions of dollars. And so when I always love kind of the conversations I have with women who either talk about, the shows they watch or the influences in their life. And I'm like, that beautiful kind of messy middle where you're in that shed, right? You're not quite who you're becoming, but you're definitely not the person you used to be. And allowing kind of that space to have a crash out if needed, to be emotional, to have outburst, right? Because being buttoned up all the time and perfect isn't life. It's not any sort of reality any of us live in. And so when we're able to say like, and what did I learn from that? And how can I
Yeah.
recover from that? And how can my relationships bounce back when I was unkind and angry? Like, what a beautiful reflection of what we're able to see on our screens.
Yeah. You know what I love about this is that I was reflecting upon doing the show with you today, but I want to take a pause for a minute because I'm serious when I say this is a body of work you do with people because issues like this show up all the time. It doesn't matter if it's within a family, within a partner relationship, within a company relationship. If you're anything like me, you have not gotten out of those things by yourself. Well, let me rephrase it. You have not gotten out of them whole trying to do it by yourself. So how do people, Tristen, how do people learn more about you? How do they find out more about you? Tell them about your show, because this is a micro of what you're able to help people through and with on a much larger scale.
Absolutely. So my website is musingsandmodalities.com. My podcast is the same name. And then on my show, I bring in women founders and business owners to talk about kind of their reflections and to help others, even if you're not a business owner, really what they've learned and how they conduct themselves. Because we're all conducting ourselves in business in some capacity and how they make choices that are defining their legacy. Because a legacy isn't a name on a building, right? That's a very masculine kind of viewpoint. It's where we spend our time, our energy, and our money, and the impact we have in our community. And so having guests on there to really reinforce that message is important to me.
Yeah. Um, Two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the cautionary tale
Mm.
and the status at any cost. Okay, here's a little side by story. Okay, I don't think I've ever said this on air. A number of years back, my friend, colleague, James Peralta Forbes contacted me and said, "You got to get down to LA, Pat." And I said, "Okay, I love LA." So no, you got to get down to LA to be in a music video with Tay and his uncle, John Legend. And I said, "Jane, seriously?" She said, "Listen, Pike, you need to go in the winter in Seattle, get yourself a white outfit, get down there, get down there. You're going to interview these people. You're going to be around celebrities, right? Alfre Woodward, everybody. Come on now, right? Just get down here." Okay. So I told my then media person, and I can't even repeat what that person said to me.
Oh.
So, one, they didn't understand my background. First of all, I grew up in a very diverse culture. I went to Plainfield High School, if you know anything about that. And they implied, I'm telling you, going down and being like a hip hop type video, that ain't going to help your reputation. And I said, "You're fired."
Yeah.
I said, "You're fired." I went in the music video, although I will say Jessica got more time in the video than me, went down, pictures of me, had the ball, awesome time of my life. There are pictures and videos of me dancing. And I didn't care what anybody was going to say thereafter about me.
Yeah.
This very white haired girl down there doing her thing. How do we help people understand the cautionary tale versus the value proposition?
Mm. Yeah. And it's really like starting with yourself and your discernment. For you, that felt right for you because you're like, this is, how I grew up, how I like everything about it was a full body yes. And when someone was like, oh no, this isn't the right move, you're like, get out. Like, absolutely not. You're not
You
going to
gotta
tell
go.
me, right? Yeah, you're gone. Don't let the door hit you, or it can a little bit. Like, go. And
Yeah, hit you
so
really hard.
exactly. And there are other times when you're uncomfortable with something where you're like, oh, can I step into this place? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, when I first got some speaking engagements, I was like, oh, do I see myself doing that? Like, do I see myself in this place? Like,
Yeah.
and there's a little bit of anxiety that can come to change into excitement. But the cautionary tale is that very much like, oh, I'm not looking too deeply because something about this doesn't feel right, but I want the short-term gains, either the money, the visibility, what they're promising me, and when I've seen that play out in either in clients as they're crawling their way back or through Real Housewives, where, there have been lawsuits as well as ethical controversies, right, that they've engaged in. Chasing the easy money is always a trap.
Yeah.
Always. It's
Yeah.
never good.
Yeah. Can I make a comment about a reality show? I
Please,
think I'm
always.
allowed to, because I'm going to give you all my opinion. So just for you guys, YouTube, who monitor this, there's one reality show that I think did not cross the line. I believe that.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen every episode. The Jersey Shore people. Come on now. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? We got to see them,
Yeah.
but we also got to see the relationships and the caring. That was truly a reality show that came out of nowhere about my home Jersey, right? I
Yeah.
could relate to every single moment of it, right? But somehow they were able to create a container. What do you think? Am I off base on that?
No, I don't think so. I think there are parts of it that were more, um, like I don't know that they all were exactly from Jersey. You know what I mean? Like there's elements
Oh
that
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Us Jersey people could tell exactly who was from Jersey.
Exactly, exactly. So there's things like that.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
TV ethics, though.
absolutely. And I think that real friendships you can never fake. And we see that on
No,
different franchises for Real Housewives. It's always a
yeah,
better. Real Housewives of Rhode Island has been incredibly successful because these women have known each other since literally birth. And that you can't fake. You can't fake the history, the ups and downs, and literally growing up with someone and then showcasing that friendship on TV. And I also think they were authentic. Anytime Snooki was doing anything with alcohol, she just loved alcohol at that point, right?
totally.
She wasn't playing it up for camera. She was just like, this is how I live my life, and you happen to follow me during it. And
Yeah,
what a breath of fresh air to see that, where we go, wow, like how free. I think it's so freeing seeing big characters on TV because you go like, oh, maybe I'm not too much, right? If you've ever been told that, it's like, oh, maybe the permission slips I haven't been granting myself. Oh, I see how they act, and they're beloved for it. So if anywhere you have judgment or anxiety around it, you go like, someone is doing it much bigger than I am.
yeah. We talked about a number of different things, but I want people to know that you've come up with a number of takeaways. Now, I will make one comment about the music video. I almost didn't go.
Mhm.
And my imposter syndrome, like you mentioned about speaking, my imposter syndrome showed up so badly that my friend Jane said, if you don't come down, I am going to send somebody to get you, throw you in a trunk.
Yeah.
You understand what she was saying.
Yeah.
And when I realized what I was doing, that I could just show up at me, what happened was I had no idea people even knew who I was.
Mm.
I I have a picture of me and Crazy Jay with all of his gold keychains, like, Dr. Pat, come here, take my picture. And I was like, why do you keep hiding, Pat? You
Mm.
see? So the reason I'm bringing it up is because there are people you work with, Tristen, they hide,
They do.
they're afraid.
Yeah.
So in what we're talking about today, I want folks to know, one, it takes a special person to be in any reality show. And number two, please tell us what we see in these shows that we can take away, whether it be from fame or money or influence. What
Yeah.
can we
So
take away? What can you leave us with today?
when life levels up, right, we get more money, more influence. That's often when we need to lean into our authenticity and our values the most. And so, even if you aren't at that stage yet, you can prepare and really sit with your integrity now for the success you're calling in. Because we don't want to have, like, don't try to publicly fix your values, right? Have a strong foundation in who you are, know who you are at your core, and then you're able to show up fully and embodied. And that is where people find the most success, truly. That's why people like Zendaya are so popular, right? She is
Oh,
authentically herself. Incredible.
oh,
Queen.
oh, oh, come on now. We got
Yeah,
to do a whole show on that.
I would love that.
We should let's do
Okay.
this. You and I agree to do this.
Yeah.
Let's us each pick two people each and talk about them showing up. I'm going to pick Caitlin Clark, so you can't pick her.
Okay.
You get to pick Zendaya.
Perfect. I love that.
Okay. And then let's do a show and let's go through this and demonstrate why you and I think they show up authentically. Look, we can't blame directors and producers for how they manipulate. Let me just talk to Zendaya for a minute. They played the you know what in Dune 1 out of her presence.
Mm.
You know they did. Every trailer, Zendaya. And she was in that movie for what? 8 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, clearly, I read the book, so I knew this girl was not going to go away, right? So when we talk about these people in the show that we're going to plan, and it has to be an hour, so be clear. I got to put my music video clips in there. You can put your own clips in. I want to do this show because sometimes some of these people need to have somebody stand up. Can I tell you my second choice, or do you want me to wait?
No, please tell me. I would love to.
Sinead O'Connor.
Oh.
What happened to Sinead O'Connor was unconscionable to me.
Yeah.
Every day I play Nothing Compares to You to remind me that I need to speak out for women. I need to speak out against abuse, trafficking. I need to do that. So will you agree our next show will be to pick a couple of these women and each of us express and demonstrate things that we've seen where we can say, this is how we see them authentically, and give the audience a platform to agree. What do you think?
That's incredible. My heart
I just
is
put
so
you
full.
on the spot there.
No,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
good. It's aligned. The truth is always resonant. It's aligned. I'm so excited.
Well, Tristen, how do people work with you? Because the reality is they go through stuff every day. And if you're like me, I got 5 coaches. So just saying, how do people work with you?
Yeah. So I'm doing a free legacy call where we'll spend 30 minutes with you, get action items to understand what your legacy is, how to have your own values and that guide your life, because it's so important to me that this feel like work that every single person can do. Because I think we all have a legacy we're leaving behind. Let's be in charge of it. Don't let it just be a footnote.
I love it. Emily, please make a note that you had to get with both me and Tristen, and we're going to plan this really cool show. We will not violate any licensing or rights. We will go for freeware. But what a fun thing we could do. Thank you, Tristen, for everything you do.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I am going to watch the whole vacation thing with the Jersey Shore people, their grand finale. I will watch that. All right, take care, everybody. Get involved in your own authenticity. Honor it, even if it scares you a bit. Yeah, you may be the person that says, I'm going to put sugar in my spaghetti sauce. Okay, I'm just saying that's a violation of my family. We'll see y'all next time.